far away, that search is still in full swing.
Yes, exactly. And you mentioned the onlookers. I mean, that has not exactly changed. We continue to see people walk in from the parking lot, kind of find their spot along the shoreline here, and kind of just take a look at what's going on behind us here along the Potomac. And again, there's not much going on here in terms of no emergency vehicles, no lights, no sirens. That's all behind us on the other side of the Potomac.
And what's interesting here is that, on a flight radar, I'm going to have Marco zoom in on this if you can. This is the U.S. Park Police, and you can see just how many times they've been circling around. And there are 3 choppers that are up there right now. We tracked one earlier that came all the way from Easton, Maryland, and that's on the eastern shore. So it went across the bay, all to show you just how big this search effort is across the area. The winds we've noticed starting to pick up just a little bit more, and it is a bit on the breezy side at this point, but it's nothing like we had earlier today. And as Tom Rousey was mentioning, we think of the airports and just how busy they've been. I live in Old Town Alexandria. I work in Roslyn. I travel the GW Parkway day in and day out. I cannot tell you how many times I have seen larger planes abort takeoffs, or abort landings, I should say, where you see them coming in and then all of a sudden they zoom up. And I often see that or hear that over my house in Old Town when all of a sudden back up again. And it happens more often than not. I don't know what the research is on that in terms of, it's a very busy airport. And like I said, there's 2 main runways for the most part. And the diagonal runway is the one that I believe that this plane was landing in. And then there's, of course, that main runway. But my goodness, what a horrible, horrible event. And, of course, for those who have been around here a lot longer, and we were talking about it earlier, we think of the Air Florida flight. That was back in the early 80s. And a much different situation where they had a lot of ice and a lot of snow, and that was over by the 14th Street Bridge. And many of you might remember those pictures from that event. But we can only imagine, and our hearts go out to all the folks who are out there right now in the rescue teams, because, I mean, this looking around right now. Hand you the mic. I'll step out over here. Sorry, but excuse my back. I mean, there's hundreds of people out here right now that are searching, and you can see that one chopper right up there. For some reason, they've been scanning the area. And this right here, I don't know a whole lot, or not an expert on river hydrology. However, low tide is going to happen around 3:15 this morning. High tide again will be at around 8:30. You can see another chopper, even, Marco, off in the background here. Now, that's really more over the Old Town Alexandria area. You see those 2 choppers. I'm going to pull out my flight radar right now. They all have their lights, and it looks like they're looking for something over there, because you can see their search lights are scanning. And I'm just going to pull this over, and that's actually right on the tip of North Old Town Alexandria. And so I am very curious.
If you can try to pull that up, we'll try to see where that specific aircraft came from. But just to touch on what you mentioned about the onlookers, and again, you're very close to the area. You live right down in Old Town Alexandria, and you can attest to just how busy this area is in terms of aircraft. And we spent a few minutes speaking with people who have decided to come here and get a look for themselves. And a lot of them close to the area, they didn't see or hear anything, but they saw it spread like wildfire on social media or on the news, on 7 News, and they wanted to come out here and see what it was. But a lot of them did mention to us that it is so busy out here, and they know exactly what it's like.
Yeah. And one thing that we should note also is that, this is a major news event here. And I was walking when I was waiting for you, Marco, to come up here. We have news crews, international news crews here, and this is the story that we're going to hear a lot about. And of course, we're going to keep you updated on 7 News. Michelle?
All right, thank you both for your coverage. We do want to mention that CNN is reporting that the Black Hawk helicopter that was involved in this collision was on a training mission. And if you've lived in this area for any amount of time, it's not unusual to see these trainings happen at all hours of the day and the night as well. So that is just some new information that we are able to say that this Black Hawk helicopter was on a training mission. Our breaking news coverage continues right now. We have our Scott Thuman. He's on assignment in Panama, but he actually has a great perspective to offer tonight on this breaking news because he's preparing for a story, and he just completed some helicopter training. What can you tell us about that?
Yeah, Michelle, this is strangely coincidental. As you pointed out, I'm on another assignment right now. I'm in Panama, but just previous to this, earlier this week, I underwent training for what happens when you're on a helicopter and it crashes into the water. And so that meant multiple simulations of being inside a reconstructed helicopter cabin, going into a body of water, violent flipping in different directions, and then having to know how to escape from that helicopter. And the only reason I bring all that up is because A, the obvious, you're looking at this particular situation right now, but B, it gives us a little bit of insight as to how crucial those first few moments are. The survivability when a helicopter crashes into a body of water, obviously, it's a daunting prospect, but that does not mean that hope is lost. Keep in mind that a helicopter is very top heavy, right? The center of gravity is that rotor. So if it hit the body of water and survives the impact, and the people inside also survive it, that chopper typically will tilt over pretty quickly and go upside down. And then it's up to those occupants to try and make their way out. The chopper fills up, as I learned during these simulations where we were in this constructed simulator and watch the water rise, and you have maybe 3-4 seconds to take a big deep breath, push out the window if there is a window in place there at one of the pressure points. And this Black Hawk often has that large door that you see when it's flying by, and make your way out. But it's incredibly disorienting. We did this while it was daylight. I could see the lights outside and above the water. In the dark, that's what they talk about, is just how challenging it is, because you don't know where you are once that chopper starts to turn in the water. And so often the mistake is made by people where they swim in the wrong direction, actually go down when trying to escape instead of up toward the surface. It's very, very disorienting. It's difficult even to imagine how quickly all of that happens and how much water comes in so fast. And then the other aspect of it is, if you are able to escape okay, how do you survive in such cold water? We were learning in more of the tropical method rather than the cold method, but we were taught about each tactic, and a lot of it was instantly making sure that you have your PFD, you have your personal flotation device, you curl up in a ball, you try and maintain body warmth until you can be rescued. But again, a lot of this is hypothetical. We don't know exactly what the scenario there is in the water, only that what I went through this week with this training, the timing is obviously very relevant to this, but it also paints a very grim picture. It's a difficult thing to do, and we can only hope, because in this case, as you pointed out, these are military members. They've been through extensive training to be on these helicopters. They were doing training, as you pointed out, at night, and hopefully had all the precautions in place. But it is a very, very difficult and challenging prospect here.
And as you were speaking to that, I was thinking just how just difficult that would be in normal circumstances, but you compound that with the fact that this is unfolding at night, and you talk about just losing your sense of direction. I would imagine your training was in the daytime. Adding another level of just complexity to the situation is the fact that this is all happening in the dark.
Yeah, and in fact, when they do training for people like NASA, for SpaceX at these same facilities,